Beware, Mantroid. Watch out. Captain Spirit is ready for battle.
Captain Spirit, the playable teaser for Life is Strange 2 is out now. We've played it, haven't we, Jane?
That's the awesome adventures of Captain Spirit, to give it its very full name.
I'm so sorry, Captain. I meant to give you full honours. We are bursting with theories about Life is Strange 2, having played it, and we are going to impart them to you right now. Let's go.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah, spoilers everywhere. I think the most significant thing that happens is that we get honest-to-goodness supernatural powers of the kind that we haven't seen since Life is Strange, because we had Before the Storm, which was sort of, there were no powers. Sometimes there were ambiguous hints at...
Very ambiguous, yeah.
Very ambiguous.
Yeah. You'd have to want to see it, I think.
But nothing really. But at the end, when Chris falls out of his treehouse, he is saved by mysterious powers.
Yes.
So what I think, Jane, is that the powers aren't his. I think it's the neighbour he sees afterwards, who's like, saving him.
That is interesting, and I hadn't read that. And when you brought it up, I was like, yeah, what was that neighbour kid doing there,
like
watching?
The weirdly serene neighbour boy, like.
Yeah, hi. Where have you been this entire game?
Yeah, why?
Chris has been all lonely playing with himself. Is it a new neighbour? Have they just moved in?
I think I got the impression they're always there. It's like it looks like a father and son, right? I don't know.
Okay.
But why is the kid looking so like mannequin serene if he's just seen some superpowers?
We're
He's like,
your neighbours.
hello.
But I don't know if he saw that. Maybe he just like heard a flump in the snow. Was like, oh, what's going on over there?
I heard a flump, son.
And then they're like, oh, it's that weird kid next door. He's on his face in the snow.
Don't look at him, son. Oh.
He's poor.
Oh God, he's wearing the costume.
They have no Christmas tree.
Yeah.
But also there is, just let's get this out of the way early on, it's possible that it was all in his head.
And he died.
No, not that he died, but just if you fell 4 foot out of a treehouse ladder onto some snow, you'd be okay. And you might have imagined that you were okay because you used superhero magic powers
to
make it happen. And so the visual of him falling in slow motion into the snow is his mind going to a happier place where he has supernatural powers and his dad isn't a complete jerk.
The actual worst.
The actual worst.
It does
that's imagined.
Yeah,
but I don't believe that, but it's a possible.
It is possible. It happens at a real like pressurized moment for Chris as well, because he's just had that like enormous.
He's had a bad confrontation.
Bad confrontation with his horrible father.
Yes.
Oh, you wanted to tell her that I gave you the bruises, huh?
No, I didn't say anything. I swear.
Huh? You want to blame me for everything? Is that what you want, huh?
Dad, please believe me.
Jesus, stop that whining. You're not a baby anymore. Oh, boo-hoo, Daddy. Believe me. Grow up.
And so when he
And it
falls,
becomes very dreamy. Yeah.
yeah, I can sort of imagine maybe he's imagining it. Do you know, I hadn't even thought of that.
But then the confrontation, it's like classic how you find your telekinetic powers is under extreme pressure, like Carrie or something,
Sure.
you know, like Carrie. So,
oh, if only he'd gone Carrie.
so yeah, maybe that event sort of brought to the fore his actual intrinsic powers.
Yes.
So it kind of plays either way, I guess.
Okay, so my theory about what Life is Strange is going to be, like the general structure of it, I think it's going to be like the TV show Heroes, in that it's going to be a bunch of different characters in different locations, and they all have different powers. And I think this is how it's going to tie into Life is Strange 1, because it'll be like Max was just one of this emerging.
They're like indie X-Men.
Yeah. And so I think Max was one. We got one here. There's a bit in Captain Spirit where you can check the dad's laptop.
Yeah.
You know, he was working on a railroad.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there's an email that says something very, very cryptic about people who've been spotted riding the rails.
Right.
That would be a blast being a freight hopper. Choo-choo.
Chris's dad works on the railroad all the live long day, and
when he's not getting fired for being awful.
He gets like a to everyone email about looking out for
that's right.
freight hoppers, as they're called.
Freight hoppers, yeah. It's possible that that's just a little Easter egg nod to before the storm because Rachel and Chloe ride the rails.
A little bit.
Not very far, but they do a little bit. That wouldn't fit time-wise, and it feels just like too significant a clue to find in an email. Seeing as we know that Captain Spirit is supposed to be leading and teasing the events of Life is Strange 2, so we're supposed to be looking for clues. Yeah. So I think we're going to have Chris's neighbour with powers, who's hanging around, palling around with Chris.
Right, so coming back to your point is that the neighbour suspends Chris and saves him. That's in your hero's theory. The neighbour is the protagonist, sees Chris falling out of his treehouse, and although he hasn't been friends with him, played with him, reported his abusive father, he's like, well, I'll save you as you fall out of your treehouse.
Sure, I'll save you as you fall out of a treehouse.
My telekinetic powers are only useful in this kind of situation, Chris.
He seems to say.
I like
with
Chris
his mannequin
though.
smile.
I guess it's a bit, again, obvious and a bit on the nose that Chris becomes the protagonist of Life is Strange 2, because then Captain Spirit is just the opening chapter of Life is Strange 2, which is not the case. So it does make more sense that he's related to it, but not the protagonist of it, which I think is pretty much accepted.
I think that's fair. Also, if Chris was the protagonist of Life is Strange 2, I don't think it's a particularly dramatic or exciting way to meet him. And I'd be surprised if you meet the character of the game Life is Strange 2 in this sort of short, free teaser thing where you're just sort of trundling around. I think we've met a main character in Life is Strange 2, but I don't think it's Chris.
You don't think it's Chris? Although the idea of your supernatural power emerging in a moment of crisis, that's how Max discovers hers, isn't it?
And away from me, psycho! No!
In the bathroom with Chloe.
Yes, of course that's true, but that could be true for the neighbour kid, potentially.
Is it a crisis seeing your weird neighbour falling out
or
of
is it an opportunity?
You're like, that weird kid's being weird again.
Uses his powers to slam him.
Yo-yo him up and down. The final piece of evidence in my It's Going to Be Like Heroes theory is the teaser trailer for Life is Strange 2 that we got that isn't Captain Spirit, which you may have forgotten because it's really, really unexciting.
Oh, yeah.
It's a few seconds long. It is the logo appearing in stitching on a backpack.
Okay.
But what I think is significant is that the backpack is really, really knackered and beat up. It looks like it's in somewhere that's really dusty and dirty. It doesn't look like what Chris's school backpack
No,
would be.
because that would have like pictures drawn on it with
Yeah.
and like puffy stickers and things like that. Yeah.
It looks to me like the backpack of a cool freight hopping teen. Yeah. So maybe it's just wishful thinking because I'm so in love with the idea of the protagonist being freight hopping teens. Isn't that awesome?
You just love the teen drama.
Yes.
You want your teen
Is that
drama.
so wrong? Is
like,
that so wrong?
Forget children, forget childhood traumas. I want teenage dramas.
I don't know. I like the freight hopping.
Okay,
Isn't
you like
that cool?
the traveling the country,
Riding the rails.
But the thing is, all those environments are very expensive, Luke. If it could be set in
Here we
just
go.
one school,
Here we go.
or set in one home in a snowy garden, that would be more affordable now.
You never have to see outside of the freight train. It could just be inside one.
It's like Snowpiercer. You just walk up and down
Yeah.
the length of this train, having adventures in the multiple carriages.
all inside one shipping freight container. Yeah.
Yeah, all
That's
right.
easy. That's just 6 walls. Very affordable. So I think it's the backpack of some riding the rails.
Yeah.
Travelers.
Character that does gel with the Easter egg about freight hoppers. Rail riding hobo teens plus heroes.
Yep.
Everyone's got their own special superpower. They're like little baby X-Men that listen to Jose Gonzalez.
Yep. Don't nod. Just call me and
We'll work it out.
Call me and
I know you've already basically made the game,
Yeah,
but
no.
we can undo that.
Call me and just let me know that I'm right. just
We'll work out a signal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Luke is right,
Blink twice.
tweet a picture of the special edition of Life is Strange.
Yeah. If Luke is right, promote the advantages of pre-ordering.
Then we'll know.
Then we'll know for sure. You know who I was surprised to see in Captain Spirit?
Who?
Mark Jefferson.
What?
The awful photographer.
Wait, why?
From Life
When?
is Strange.
Where?
His book of terrible 90s art.
Oh!
This has to be Mom's. She liked art.
It's on a shelf.
Oh no, his like coffee table art book.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's really.
Oh, you don't want that.
I actually thought that was.
In the timeline of the game, Life is Strange is already played out.
Yes.
You'd be like, why do I have the coffee table photo book of a proven and convicted and now dead serial killer?
Well, that would be a good question.
Chris wouldn't know, and Chris's dad wouldn't care, so that's why the book is still there. Anyway, sorry.
So that's the perfect explanation for why that's there.
Okay.
I actually think it's a nice bit of artwork that they've chosen.
But it's of like a girl.
Yeah, it's like it's of a girl, and I think there's
girl in like a vest top.
Yeah, I think there's like a hand on her shoulder.
Quite sinister through that lens.
Yeah, and that's why it's so good, because you would look at it and it would seem like some sort of slightly
moody,
innocuous, moody grunge
CK1 style 90s grunge photography.
Yeah, but it has
all the signs were there. Why did we not know?
Exactly, extra creepiness. So I don't think that we've heard the last from that rascally, horrible murderer, Mark Jefferson.
Because we know Chris's mum went to Blackwell from letters around
the house. Yes, we do. She went to Blackwell.
This is where Mom went to school before we came here.
And she was into art. Mm-hmm. She was an artist.
Yeah.
Do we know she was taught by Mark Jefferson? Does that work out? Or no, because he's too young. He's quite a young teacher, isn't he?
It doesn't work out that he taught her, because as far as I can figure out, Mark Jefferson's timeline, if you like, of his life is that he grew up in Arcadia Bay, but I don't think there's any evidence that he went to Blackwell Academy. And then he became a successful artist, and then he moved back to take this highly placed sort of teaching position. So
after she had already left.
Yes. If you assume it's not just a coincidence because he's a hip, trendy photographer and everyone in America has his books, which doesn't seem likely, because in the end he does still take up a teaching position at a...
Yeah, he's not that famous.
He's like respected, but it's not like everyone has a copy, you know? Right. It's not like ABBA Gold or something where everyone's got a Mark Jefferson in the car. It looks like it was some kind of hit and run accident.
Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but it also seemed mildly suspicious that the police did not fully investigate it or get hold of the security camera footage. So someone influential.
Well, someone influential, Jane, you mentioned. Do you remember how Mark Jefferson had his creepy murder basement?
I sure do.
Which was a bunker.
Hard to forget.
That's right, yeah. Burned into my mind forever. Which was underneath a barn that was owned by the wealthy Prescott family.
Powerful, wealthy Prescotts.
I don't think it's impossible that the Prescotts knew Mark Jefferson when he was growing up in Arcadia Bay, possibly followed his career, and maybe knew about his criminal doings, possibly had understanding or maybe facilitated it in some ways, or looked the other way.
So they're like sponsors or patrons of his bad art.
I don't know how this all ties together, man, but there's just too many coincidences. The artwork in the house.
You should see Luke's wall of crazy, where it's like Red, String, Nathan, Mark, Chris. Yeah.
Also, incidentally, did you notice that the street names that the mum dies on, if you put it together, it's Mantroid?
It's Asteroid Lane and Mantle. Pretty sad. He's dealing with his horrific trauma of losing his mother with make believe.
Yeah.
Mantroid is the representation of his mother's tragic accident.
It's the representation of unanswered questions and a cold case.
I guess it all hangs on how much Life is Strange 2 is related to Life is Strange 1. If it's just a very light touch, they take place in the same universe, and in this universe kids are discovering they have powers, kind of shared universe, rather than an ongoing Marvel shared universe thing where everyone is in everyone else's business kind of deal.
Which is what we need. We need the equivalent of the airport fight, but with Max and Chloe and Rachel and Frank and Chris.
Everyone's using their superpowers.
Yeah. Chris's dad is just drunk off to one side.
I hate him so much.
Do you think he was a bit Frank-like? I think it might be the same voice actor, which is possibly the unfair
because he's a little bit kind of, he's got a bit of stubble. And
I've seen some wild speculation online that it somehow it is Frank and that Rachel is Chris's mum, which doesn't work at all as far as I can figure out, because Rachel is dead. Which is a problem.
No, he has a Frank-like quality, and I think he's initially at least supposed to be a likable loser, but whereas Frank remains somewhat likable. Yeah. Frank
does have a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Dad has a heart of
my God.
tin.
I felt so much for Chris that I was being this kid, like doing all the chores, being like, maybe Dad won't be mad if I do the laundry for him. Maybe he'll stop getting drunk in front of that basketball game.
I have to say, at first when I was playing the game, I thought that Chris was a little bit too dreamlike and too much of like a sort of sweet child.
A bit artificially
sappy. Yeah. I was like, oh, kids aren't like this. They shout and they're messy and they scream and run around. And they're not like saving the day using their peaceful imagination.
That was your last ride, Shark Stinger.
Yes, Captain Spirit saved us.
They don't want like the pacifist superhero.
Yeah,
they want
like,
the one with a battle tank.
You're imagining your Batman like snapping spines. But
Some kids are nice.
But the more, no, Jay.
No.
They're all spine snappers. but the more you play it, the more I played, the more I thought that Chris as a character made sense in the context of his terrible dad.
That made sense.
Under whose sort of cruel dominion, Chris has, I think, very little chance of having the sort of happy, carefree, spine-snapping imagination childhood.
That kind of boyhood where you just imagine violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than have it happen to you.
That's the thing. It's like what Chris is in Chris's crazy fantasy. There's no violence, and it is sort of peaceful resolutions.
That's
it is
why
really
his
sad.
superhero is pacifist, and that's why he's so sensitive, because he's constantly trying to like outmaneuver his dad's bad moods.
Yes, he's always trying to get one step ahead and make sure his dad's not upset. My least favourite bit of the game is the bit where your dad's like, wake me up. If I fall asleep, wake me up, and I promise we'll go get a Christmas tree. And I'm like, don't say that, Dad, because we are going to have to wake you up now. You'll be mad at us if we don't, and you'll definitely be mad when we do.
Why did you wake me up?
You told me to wake you up. I thought you said the pine tree.
Pine tree? I can't even walk in my own house, man.
It's that kind of tragedy where you can see it coming, and and then it happens.
The coolest Easter egg I found in The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, to give it its full title, was, did you see that there was a flyer on the wall at one point that had a QR code on it?
I did not. I have a blind spot for QR codes because to hell with QR codes.
Correct.
No, I'm sorry, I did not see that anywhere.
That is the right
Where was
attitude.
It? Where was this poster?
It was in the corner. I think it's something that's on Chris's bedroom wall, but it's got a QR code.
Okay.
So I pulled out my phone and got the QR code scanner. And
I installed the app for QR codes.
Yeah.
Because to hell with QR codes, and then and then I uninstalled it immediately after.
Yeah, but amazingly, in that brief window where I had a QR code reader and used it for the first time, it does actually take you somewhere. It takes you to a text result. It takes you to this. A ragged colt may make a good horse.
Is that a well-known phrase? I don't recognise it.
I've done a bit of research on this. It's not a well-known phrase in any kind of English that I recognise, but from what I can tell, it is more of an idiom in French.
Oh, okay, so it's a translated idiom.
A colt is a young male horse, so what the quote means is that, a horse that is like wild and unmanageable in its youth may yet turn out to be a good and reliable horse as an adult.
Okay.
The question is...
Who's the colt? Chris?
It's got to be... It could be that it has to be someone young, surely.
Yes.
Yeah, it could be Chris.
You wouldn't describe him as
Chris
ragged,
though.
No.
And nothing that I've seen of the neighbour kid. I mean,
he's not a bad egg, is he? He's okay. There's a reference to a bully or someone who claims to have been bullied by Chris in a complaining letter from the kid's parent to Chris's dad. It was like, your kid's been beating up my kid in that classic bully way, where actually probably reading between the lines, the situation was reversed.
Or possibly he was reacting to something very, very cruel that was said about his
exactly.
family.
These bullying situations are complex.
Harry did say mean things about Dad, but I can't let him see this.
That is a big reach, but in terms of who could be a ragged colt, if you take ragged to mean, a bit wild and feckless, then maybe this bully character, maybe it'll be like Life is Strange introduced all these characters at a school, maybe Life is Strange 2 will be all the, the kids at this kid's school.
The one thing that I am sure of is that I bet it is massively significant. I reckon that once we've played Life is Strange 2, we will look back on that and be like, of course, we know who the ragged colt is, or it'll somehow be important, because if you were just going to stick in a QR code and have it linked to something, it could link to the pre-order page for Life is Strange 2. It could be like every other little Easter egg in Life is Strange and just be that damn hot dog man.
There's my hot dog man.
We love Hot Dog Man.
Did you spot Hot Dog Man? Yes, he's on literally everything. He's on every t-shirt and wall and comic book.
What if the ragged colt is Chris's dad? Because Chris's dad is still young, and he's ragged in that he's drunk and a bad father, and a bit ruined by his wife's surly demise. The good horse could just be him turning out not to be a rubbish dad.
Yeah, I like it.
Because the point is they were very young parents, right?
Yes,
and suddenly he's left alone to raise this kid, and turns out he's not very good at doing that. And that's his ragged, cultish ways,
So this one takes us a little bit away from the story elements of the Life is Strange universe into something that I think is into something that I think is going to be a mechanical tweak, like a gameplay addition in Life is Strange 2 that I think we've seen. Did you notice in the very opening of Captain Spirit, you're in your room and your dad's yelling at you, "Come through, Chris, your breakfast ready."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't until I've pressed all the buttons.
Yeah, not until I've looked at everything.
Dad.
Not until I've had a short memory about every object.
It's Saturday morning, it's the time when I look at every object in my bedroom. Chris, are you looking at every object in your bedroom again?
Yes, Dad.
Yes, Dad.
I did the same thing, and it means that your dad shouts you several times, and when you go through to breakfast, he's in a really foul mood.
I swear I'm gonna kick your ass if I have to come get you.
Hey, Chris, you better come to breakfast when I holler at you, or else we're gonna have a problem.
But I...
Don't. This isn't a hotel, buddy. I got things to do.
However, if you don't look at everything in your bedroom, and when your dad calls you, you go straight away, the scene plays out entirely differently.
Yes.
I see it, but I don't believe it. I didn't even have to call you. What is going on here?
The food smelled good.
But you know how to work the ref. I think the eggs turned out all right. Well, salt is a secret. You let me know.
And Dad's like, "Hey, buddy!
Hey!
There's my little champ."
Yeah.
And you have a nice breakfast.
And there's a good sort of couple of minutes, I think, where everything's completely different before it finds a way to sort of segue back into the story, the bit of scripting that you get no matter what.
Yeah.
All of which makes me think that in Life is Strange 2, you're going to have to make decisions to a ticking clock.
Yes.
I think that time is going to be a pretty big factor. So say goodbye to those dreamy times when you were given a big moral choice and you put the controller down and went... Took a little walk around the neighbourhood.
What would Foucault say?
Yeah, exactly. Out comes the Immanuel Kant. Well, of course.
Reading glasses on.
Yeah. The Aristotelian view, though, is very different.
It's going to have to be off the cuff because it's going to be timed.
I think
now.
so. I think the game is going to sort of push you to,
Yeah.
or at least there are going to be, the story that you get will change based on how quickly you react to things.
Response time will be a factor in this. So please pay attention.
Full Blade Runner.
Yeah. In the scenario in Captain Spirit, it's not even about making a decision confronted with an obvious decision.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm sure it doesn't matter whether I go now or not, and then finding out later that it does have an impact.
Yeah.
I think you could easily assume that it doesn't matter. In fact, I would be interested to know if people only play through that once, which they may well do, it may not occur to them that ticking down of like, Chris, respond to me, are you coming for breakfast or not, that actually goes on to have, you know, a really
I didn't think it would.
effect. Did you tidy up the kitchen?
I tidied up the kitchen.
Oh, did you put the washing on?
Yeah, I made my dad macaroni cheese. You need
Does
to
it
lie on
help?
your stomach.
I didn't make you mac and cheese.
You have a nice little moment where he's like, "Thanks, buddy."
Not bad. Not bad at all. You better start cooking from now on, buddy.
And then he falls asleep again.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it makes a huge difference in the outcome. It's certainly not like at the end he's about to lose his rag and then he remembers the mac and cheese and goes to rehab or anything
Craft
like that.
magic.
Yeah. Okay, so those are all the theories that I have on Captain Spirit for now. Jane, is there any other business? Is there anything you thought while you were playing Captain Spirit that you want to get off your chest?
I think we've covered it all. I was and still am very angry at Chris's dad, whose name is...
Mr. Chris.
I've completely blanked on it.
I'll look it up. Well, in that case, I think the torch now passes to you, viewers. We want to hear your Life is Strange
Help
2
us.
theories. Help us, please, in the
We
comments.
can't wait.
No, stick them all in. Tell us what you think.
Leak a full copy of the script.
Yeah, yes, please. What is Life is Strange 2 going to be about? Let us know what you think. Let us know what you thought of Captain Spirit. What you think of Chris, whether you would happily play a game with Chris as a possible protagonist or side character.
He's
or
like
whether
a baby Macaulay Culkin.
He is, I mean, yeah, Macaulay Culkin. Like, yeah, he's like a little Home Alone.
Little Milky Bar kid.
Oh, he's kind of sweet. I don't know. I missed the high school drama.
I know, you love the drama.
Love the drama.
Addicted to the
I'm
drama.
addicted to the drama. Such a drampire. Yeah, but let us know what you think, guys, and thank you for watching in the meantime. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Goodbye.